All right, everybody, I got a special episode today. It's going to be called The Day the Music Lived, as opposed to The Day the Music Died. This is The Day the Music Lived. And really, it's kind of explains how I got started in music myself. And ultimately, by the end of the story, that's the case. This is really where it all began. Um, so I had, some close friends growing up. Everybody does, and this was one of my pretty close friends, growing up. And time had gone by, and we'd separated, been in different parts of the country, that sort of thing, and then reconnected later in life. Probably about we were about 28 or so when we reconnected, somewhere in there, 27 maybe, and he comes down, he needed help, like I actually drove a long ass distance to go pick him up and bring him down to where I was at, because I'd told him, I'd spoken to him on the phone before, and be like, listen, dude, if you ever need help, man, and this is after we hadn't spoken for a long time, I was like, if you ever need help, just call me up, bro, and I got you. And he calls me up one day, he's like, man, remember you said that? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, man, I need your help now. So I drove up to the city he was in, which was like a 10-hour drive from where I was, and picked him up and drove back, 20-hour drive to go get him and help him and relocate his life and get him started down where I was at. And everything was going good. And in the meantime that I hadn't been around him, he'd picked up a guitar and started making songs and all this kind of stuff. And he'd play them for me. And let me tell you, dude, he had some awesome songs. Like, I was totally amazed. Like, I really was at like what he'd come up with. And the thing is like, I tried to put him on. I thought they were that good. Like, literally, like there's like 3 songs of his that and I've got a good ear for music. I've heard tons of songs. Everybody has, but I feel like I know when a song is like a good song, like a really good song. And he had 3 songs that I could pretty safely say, if the time was spent to perfect them, and he'd gotten in the studio and been able to, do everything necessary to really complete the songs, they wouldn't have just been like radio play. They'd have been like hits, like smash hits. Like, I'm telling you, he had like a Jack Johnson vibe to him. It was just him and the guitar at the time. And he said that he had ideas for other instruments he wanted to add to some of his songs. But man, a couple of them were, 3 of them, all the ones he played really were pretty good. But 3 of them in particular that I can think of were pretty amazing. And yeah, this one called Rusted. If I was to sing it, it wouldn't do it justice. But the guitar he wrote for it was really, really good, pleasing to the ear, and then his vocals were amazing, and the melodies he came up with were pretty. I mean, I'll try it, just do like the hook. He goes like, "Give it back to me, give it back to me, I'm rusted." Except he does it in like a softer, higher voice, rusted. Like, it's amazing when I heard him singing it. And then yeah, and like another part of that song was like it's like, your company is all I need. And yeah, like it was just had this epic like feel to it. And then there was this another one that he had that was like about him and his dog moving to the West Coast, and it had this really beachy, fun vibe to it. He's like, I said me and my dog are moving to the West Coast. Like, it was something like that. And there was this one about our bodies are dust and bones, in the end, but our souls live on, and like the clock keeps ticking on the wall. The mood, the ambiance to these songs was amazing, and then just all the mechanics and the pleasantness to the ear was amazing as well. And yeah, so I tried to put him on in a number of different ways, and we were like, when I was really trying for that, was later on down the line. I had moved somewhere else away from where he was at when he had moved down with me, and I moved back there briefly, and that's when I was really trying to like help him out, like get him started to do something with his music. And I even got him to like play live one time, but he was like super nervous about it. He'd never done it before, and to even get up there on the stage, like it was like a local, where you could go play like open mic or whatever. And he just like pounded the jack, you know what I'm saying? Like, just to calm his nerves. And then even then he was still so nervous that he like cut the song short. It was fine. Nothing was going wrong. He just cut it short and just like, like that's it. And even trying to get him to like work or practice on on these songs and like record it and stuff like that. There was multiple problems with that. Like one of them being we had limited supplies as far as like we were broke as a joke like at that point in time. Like me and him both like we're both pretty strapped at that point in time. So it was hard to get resources to like really do this. And then also he had like a drinking problem, like dude, like bad. Like so focusing for him and like actually practicing and working on it was not it wasn't easy to motivate him to do that. And it's just such a shame because like the songs were so amazing. I can't do it justice by what I sang of it, and you can't hear the guitar either, but like trust me when I say these songs were fun, cool ambiance, like could have been big hits. Like I really believe that. And yeah, so like time goes by, I move away from there, and years later I found out he passed away. And no one got to hear his music really, except for me and a couple other people around us. But like the more obscure, like he mostly played the song "Rusted" for other people because I convinced him. I would tell him, I was like, "Dude, play Rusted." You know what I'm saying? Like for everybody, like, dude, it's awesome, and like everybody enjoyed it. And we recorded it like once or twice. And I don't know what happened if those exist anywhere or not. But the other ones are really good. He pretty much just played them for me. And I was the only one that got to hear him, and now he's gone, and so Gone with the Wind is the music, except in my memory. What I could pull from it, and when it comes to the guitar for Rusted, I couldn't remember what he played, and I remember some of the notes, some of the lyrics, and some of the lyrics of the other songs, but they're gone. They're gone with the wind, and that to me was such a shame. Like that's the saddest part about it. Yeah, my friend passed away, which is. We had grown apart again at that point in time, like not in a necessarily bad way, but just like, it's sad that you lose a friend, but like what's almost as sad is that the world is deprived of the music. Think about how happy, like how many people could have gained happiness from listening to his songs. Like I'm telling you, they were that good, and no one will get to hear them. That's the biggest crime to me. Like that's the biggest shame of it all. Is that no one got to really experience what I got to experience during that time. And so years go by, I meet a new friend of mine, and we'd been hanging out for, I don't know, almost a year or so. And one day he says to me, like, we listen to music here and there, and he's like, yeah, man, I did some music, I do music. And I was like, really? Like, you haven't told me this before. And he's like, yeah, man, like, it's kind of a shame though, because like, I lost it all on this laptop. It's all on this old ass laptop, and I can't access it. The battery's dead, and like all this other problem. I was like, really? What? He's like, yeah, I do hip hop, rap or whatever. And I was like, well, spit something. And he spit the hook to one of his songs, and I heard it, and I was like, that's pretty catchy. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, that's not bad. And it occurred to me right then, like, what had happened with my other friend, and no one ever getting to hear his music. And the hook he spent to me was his song Buffalo, like from his song Buffalo, Buffalo, hey, hi, how you doing? They want us to give up, but we will never do it. And it goes on from there. But so I was like, oh, that sounds pretty catchy, like where's this music? And he had been stuck in this laptop for like 10 years. It's like this old ass fucking laptop, and he couldn't get his music out of it. And it just occurred to me what happened with my other friend, and then this is what happened here. And I was like, you know what? It sounds like you kind of know what you're doing, like you got something going on. And regardless, I thought just from what he was saying and from the way I knew him that the music was probably pretty decent, what I'm saying, pretty good. I thought it was, just from what he had spit to me with his mouth, with like just vocals. And so I said, I'm not letting this happen again. Like I'm not going to let the world be deprived of someone's music and someone's art. Because of stupid shit, you know what I'm saying? Like that's robbing everybody else of like a gift from the world, from artists to the world, So I said I'm gonna do whatever it takes to help this man get his fucking music back. And so from there, what we had to do is in this old laptop with a dead battery, and it doesn't charge, and like it runs like. We found this out later, but it ran like Windows 7 or something like that. And we took it to Geek Squad up at Best Buy and everything like that, trying to see if they could do anything. They didn't have any equipment that old as the computer, as old, everything that would take to get in there. There was like no solutions. He had tried a bunch of stuff before I even got up with him, and we tried a bunch of stuff, and like there was just like no way into this computer. So what we ended up doing though was taking the hard drive out, and my friend actually, who I think by then was living with me, like, he's moved out now, but he was renting from me, had one of those computers that matches the hard drive. Like, he has a bunch of old like computer parts and computers and shit like that. Like, he had the fucking computer that you needed to like take the hard drive out and put it into the other computer so we could run it at least, because like the battery was dead. Like, there's no charging up that computer again. Like, it was fried. Like, I'm sure if you did, it would be like a massively expensive repair and it'd take somebody very specialized in old computers and like stuff like that. But so we took the hard drive out and then put it in the other computer, and we started it up. All right, so great, we're gonna get the music back, right? No, not quite. There's a Windows password, and he had forgotten the Windows password. And if you don't know this about Windows, especially like, I guess like Windows models from that day, like I guess that would be Windows 7. I think it was 7. I think that's right. You can't get past the password if you don't have the password. There's no like workaround. There's like, you're screwed. Like, seriously, like there might be, from what I read, everything that I read is like, dude, no, you're fucked. Like, if you don't know the password, there's no way to like really get by it. But I dug a little deeper and I found this one YouTube video about like how you could possibly do it. And what you do is you're not actually cracking the password, you're tricking the computer. And this is what I ended up doing. Like, first off, you needed the disk also from like because the way it was going to work was you had to trick the program into thinking you're resetting the password. But that has to happen before, in a program that's running before you log in to the screen. So therefore, from what I recall, I can't recall all the details, but we needed the disk for Windows 7 too to run the startup process to like even get to this point where we could trick the coding. And my friend again had the Windows 7 disk like upstairs, like at the house. We were like trying to mess with this computer at. Like, this is ancient stuff, and he had the Windows 7 disk and the computer. Like, that's just like, who does, that's like a miracle type shit. And because like Geek Squad and them don't even have that shit. And so we plugged in the disk and started to run the startup. And this is the part where I was worried, because if you mess some of this coding up, like, you could potentially like fry the files and stuff like that. So it was all on me, because like he didn't want to lose what's inside. This was all a big gamble, and I put it on my shoulders. I was like, dude, trust me, I got this. I was like, dude, I'm not going to screw it up. Like, I'm not going to burn your files or anything like that. So I was very careful about everything I did. But I saw in this one, now you're not supposed to like technically do this definitely not for like anything nefarious, but like if you're breaking into your own computer, you can do this method, is what the guy's disclaimer on the video says. Like, this is not used to like break other people's passwords, which we weren't. We were getting our own music or his own stuff back. But essentially what we did was, whatever program it was that ran before the Windows startup screen, before the login screen, we removed the coding from one of the programs that runs while the disk was in there, and typed in the coding for resetting your password. So when it was running this particular program, it ran before you had to put your password in to get in, it ran the program that we had inserted the language that says reset the password. So the reset password thing came up there, and then we reset it, and I got in there, and my friend wasn't actually there, and didn't know that we'd been working on it or working on it that hard. Like, I'd gone to Geek Squad with him, trying to help him, and I told him updates along the way about different things that we had tried. And then finally I got it and I cracked it. We had spent a long time on this, like a while, and like finally I got it. Like, I didn't ever think we were ever gonna see his music, like ever anyone was gonna see his music ever again. It was like, it was kind of like it was a miracle that like we got this back. Like, and so what I did was I started listening to his songs, and I was like liking them and stuff like that. But like, I called him up and I was like, hey bro, man, you gotta listen to this new shit I've been listening to. You know what I'm saying? Like, check this out. And I started playing it. I put the phone up to it, and he like totally broke down. Like, he was just like, oh my God, because it'd been 10 years since he has like 50 songs on there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he'd worked hard on this. This was like, for him, what he said was, it's like kind of like not just a passion, but like a healing, like therapy. Therapy is the word he used for him, is to make music. You know, deal with everything that goes on in your life. You know, for his therapy was to do music back in the day, and for different reasons he'd gotten out of it. But all this stuff was like 10 years old, and he finally got it back, and he was, you know, losing his shit, like being like, oh my God, thank you, you know, like and so I was really happy. You know, end of this part of the story is like that I was really happy that, you know, regardless of what happens with his music and everything like that, I was happy that at least now other people could hear it. You know what I'm saying? And the world wouldn't be deprived of another artist. You know what I mean? And so initially, what I was planning to do was I was going to help him get his music out there, and start running his stuff. You know, working out like that. And one day, while we were like working on his music stuff, doing stuff like that, he's like, man, he's like, Scott, man, like I should just get you on the track, bro. Why don't you spit some bars or something like that? And I was like, oh yeah. And I was like thinking about it, and what I'd done in the past, like I'd always had kind of like this image in my mind of being a rapper, and I'd written stuff in the past. Like I'd written whole songs, actually, like a whole song and then another part of a song, and then I'd like freestyle with friends back in the day. And I've always been a lover of rap music, you know what I'm saying, my whole life, you know, that as far as I can recall, back when I bought like Coolio's album, like, you know, when I was like a little kid. Always been a fan of it. And so like he's just like, dude, I should get you on. So I got to thinking, I was like, man, instead of just like being on the track, why don't I just write a song? Like, you know, and so I wrote Crazy Diamond, and got him to help me, like, as far as being on the track, and like his sister is on the track as well. So she does the singing parts, and like he has his verse, I have mine. But yeah, like that, other than his verse, I wrote the whole song and composed it basically. I mean, yeah, I composed it like in the way it was supposed to go, just right off the rip. You know, I made Crazy Diamond, and like, you know, wrote all her parts, and he wrote his verse, and I wrote my verse, and, you know, made it all come together. And they helped me with like the process of like, especially in the studio, of like, you know, what to try differently, like while we were in there, and like, you know, different approaches and stuff like that. But like, we all worked together and made that song come together. So yeah, that's I'm drawing a blank now, but like that's pretty much how I got started in music, was through this whole chain of events. Yeah, so I have old Ricky to thank for getting me started on this journey. You know what I'm saying? He passed away, and my song Requiem is about him and my other friend that both passed away, you know, years ago and everything like that. But like, so I have him to thank for kind of starting this whole process, as far as like the chain reaction of the reason I helped my buddy get his music back was because my other friend Ricky died and nobody got to hear his music. So that's what inspired me to try so hard to get, you know, John's music back and get it out there. And then that's what in turn started me making music, was the fact that he's like, well, I should get you on the track. And then I'm just like, well, I'll just write a song. And so I wrote it, and then it's been off and running ever since. And I've just been making, you know, music ever since, and I love it, you know, and everything like that. So yeah, that's I guess that's the end of the story for today. The day the music lives. So now the music lives. You know what I'm saying? Now the music lives, as opposed to dying. Yeah, so I guess that's the end of the story today. I will put some links for my music in the video here, and I think the subscribe will be right up here, or maybe up here, I don't know. But go ahead and give my playlist a listen if you'd like, and you know, I hope you enjoy it. I have a lot to offer as far as like different types. It's mostly hip hop, but like, you know, every song kind of sounds a little bit different, and I'm not like a traditional rap like you would think of. I don't think, you know, some songs maybe kind of are, a lot of songs definitely aren't. So if you're looking for like hip hop that's, you know, slightly different, got a little bit more thrown into it, then give my music a listen. And I will talk to you guys again soon. All right, have a good night. Bye.